sorry. I am sorry as well, old friend.
Wow. Gamers, welcome back to Project Dragon Age. I guess that's what I'm calling this now. These are kind of like some video diaries that I'm recording after each section of my playthrough through Dragon Age Inquisition. And I think we've finally done it. This is the last one. We're done. We finished it. This week, we saw the credits. All right. Now, before you rush down to the comments to let me know, because you guys are very enthusiastic, I know that there's more to do in this game after the credits roll, okay? I'm aware of that, so I actually did just lie. We do have one more Inquisition diary video that's going to come out next week, where I talk about my experience playing through Trespasser. I know there are other DLCs. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to have time to get to those before the Veilguard comes out, which is kind of like the whole point of this whole series, is playing Dragon Age Inquisition before Veilguard comes out. I am going to try to do the best job that I can to experience the main thrust of the story before we get to the Veilguard. One thing, though, I will mention is that I'm not sure how this is going to shake out in terms of like YouTube videos and stuff, but I don't think, even once I'm done with Trespasser, I don't think I'm going to be done with Dragon Age Inquisition. There is a lot of game here, and I did not have time to get to probably most of it. For my playthrough, I stuck mostly to main story questing and companion quests that I thought were important or interesting. But this is my first playthrough. I'm going in very blind, having not played the previous games. I know to some of this people in this community that's kind of a sin, but you know, let's just get right into how I feel about the ending here, though. I'm feeling very scatterbrained right now. There's a lot of big stuff that happened. I'm gonna do my best real quick to kind of summarize some of the big points that happened in the story, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit about my feelings. I'm gonna talk about a few complaints I have. I think most of my complaints actually center around elements of the gameplay that I'm just not really a big fan of. But I think when it comes to the story, I think I've been consistently impressed throughout my entire playthrough, and the ending here really is no exception. I think it's really solid. Anyways, let's actually get into the summary here. So last week we made it to the Well of Sorrows, and I let Morrigan drink from the well because she seemed like she wanted to, and because she's kind of hot, and I don't know how to say no to hot ladies. All right, but I've realized that was kind of, I think, a big mistake. I am already kind of regretting that decision. Let's see. This week we met, or Morrigan had the idea to summon Mythal, who turned out to be her mom somehow, weirdly. We're gonna have to talk about this a lot more in a future video. Next week, actually, me and my editor Jen are gonna be doing a little bit of theory crafting about stuff that we think is gonna happen in Veilguard. Both of us have kept spoilers to a minimum when it comes to that game, so you should definitely subscribe, click the bell, do all the YouTube pleasantries if you want to see that. I'm gonna go ahead and proceed. My summary of this is probably not gonna do the story justice, but we're gonna try our best. Bear with me. Having drunk from the well, Morrigan now has the power to challenge Corypheus's archdemon, I believe is what they call that dragon, because it's not like a regular dragon. It's a special one, and killing that dragon is going to allow us to kill Corypheus. So before we really have a chance to gather our forces back from the Arbor Wilds, which is like the last big like assault that we did as the Inquisition's forces, before we even have a chance to do that, the rift from the beginning of the game reopens, and stones and castles and all the stuff around whatever that valley was called start to rise into the sky. It seems that Corypheus, knowing that our forces are away, has decided to make his big return to try to open up the breach again. And so without any backup, with just ourselves and our closest friends, we advance on him. We have to fight his dragon, which is really cool. Like the cutscene that we get is really, really cool. I was not a big fan of the gameplay of it, and I think this is one of those things where I'll just be honest. I could have spent more time during my playthrough, probably like gearing up my character, and that would have made this fight probably a lot more bearable. It was kind of rough for me, even playing on like the easiest difficulty. Jen, go ahead and put like a dunce hat on me. Everyone's gonna want you to. That's fine. I deserve it. But I did like all the cutscene stuff around it. I was a huge fan of the way that we actually got to kill Corypheus. Like, you do the big fight with him and all that. After that, the cutscene that you get is...
You wanted into the Fade?
And I think what's really, really cool about this, throughout so much of my playthrough, I've been talking to my friend Jen, who's kind of the one who talked me into playing these games. She's kind of been like making me aware of like, oh, that guy right there, that's from this game. That guy right there, he's from this other game. And I think what's really exciting about the way that Corypheus dies is that I think there's potential to run into him again in the future. And that's going to relate to a different video that we're going to talk about, that we'll do later. Having defeated Corypheus, we get a moment where we all kind of have to like run for cover as all of the rocks and stones and stuff that were raised into the sky to open up the breach start to come tumbling down. And I guess in all that commotion, the orb of, I forgot what it's called, orb of chaos, orb of destruction or something, is shattered, and Soulless is very sad about it. Now, in case you haven't been following me in some of the other videos, just so that you know, I have chosen to play, on the recommendation of my friend, I was told to play an elf lady protagonist so that I could romance Soulless, and I think that decision really, really paid off this week. Soulless, I think, is kind of like a mixed bag of a character, right? I think he's very, very thoughtful, very brooding. There's a lot going on like behind his stoic face, and I really like that. On the other hand, he is bald, so he can't be that interesting. But no, this week, him giving us what kind of served as like a goodbye, I think it really, really hit. Him telling you like what we had was real, I think that hits a lot harder than just like we were really friends. Like, no, the idea that there's like some actual like romance here that's being cast aside because of like the decision that he's gonna make. I felt it, you know. When it happened, I really felt it. We returned to Skyhold after missing one Soulless. We get to mingle around, we get to have a little ceremony, a little parade, a little bit of those nice like pleasantries at the end of games, you know, to kind of make you feel like, you know, the hero's returning from victory. And I think it works really, really well. I enjoyed it a lot, but I think what I really, really liked after was we get like a little montage and narration from Morrigan about like what happens after the events of the mainline Inquisition game, right? We get to hear about Empress Celine, who's still in power. We get to hear about Leilani taking over as the new divine in the Chantry. We hear about Stroud and the Wardens, and God knows what's happening with them. They started to rebuild, but I guess news has stopped coming from them, so I don't even know what's happening. There's a lot of stuff that's like really, really exciting that I kind of want to like, that I'm kind of just word vomiting out right now. And to top it all off, in the end, we get one last cutscene where Soulless meets up with Morrigan's mom slash Mythal slash Flemeth slash I don't even know, where he meets up with her. Apparently they're buddies, and they exchange some words. She comforts him in what seems to be like him carrying the burden of his failure, I guess, to get the orb. And then she, I think, turns to stone. We're working with graphics that are like 10 years old here, guys, but she seemingly turns to stone or like a hollow husk, and we see him do the brooding like move, you know, and his eyes are glowing, and it seems as though Soulless is now, I had to guess, the new vessel for Mythal, which is interesting, and I'm not sure where this is going. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. Oh man, there's a lot of feelings I have about the end of the game, and what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to sit down and actually do a full-on review of the game where I think I get a little bit more organized with some of my thoughts and some of my feelings here. Suffice to say, I was a big fan of this ending. Should I mention a few nitpicks? There are a few nitpicks I think I have. And I think, again, they're most related to gameplay. I've mentioned a lot throughout these like diary videos that I am just not a big fan of the open world. But one thing I did enjoy in this last little part of the game was that we didn't have to deal with that much open world. I think this game has been really, really strong in the sections where it just puts you on like a linear level and just says like, go, go to your objective, go do it. And so that really worked for me. I enjoyed that a lot in this last section. The combat, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think something that happened to me while I was fighting the dragon was I had like a weird moment of confusion. Like, what exactly is this game supposed to be? And I think I'm probably gonna get a few of you guys in the comments saying like, well, you're supposed to use the slow down time mode and you're supposed to be tactical about it. And fair enough, you're probably not wrong. I'm not the biggest fan of that mode. And I think in a post Baldur's Gate 3 world, that mode just isn't very fun. I've experienced like really good, really solid turn-based combat, and I've played a little bit of this game, a little bit more towards the beginning in that mode, and combat takes forever. It's just not like terribly fun. So I mostly ignored that mode for my playthrough, but then the combat starts to feel a little bit more akin to like almost like a Dark Souls kind of a game experience. But I think not having like a roll or a dodge ready leaves it feeling like kind of like a half-baked Dark Souls. And I think that's especially noticeable on the dragon or the archdemon or whatever, because that's a pretty fun little boss. I like how he has these tells where like, oh, he lifts up a claw and it's like, yeah, he's about to like attack you with his claw. He lifts up his tail. Oh yeah, he's gonna do a tail swing. He rears up his head to do like the spew it's not fire, it's like dark fire. I don't know. And I think all of that stuff, it's really good boss design actually, which I think is unfortunate because it could have made the fighting a little bit more fun. But I find myself like running around as a mage, casting my little spells, running up, swinging my big magic sword, which is fucking epic as hell, by the way. And then instead of being able to like roll or dodge away, I have to just like pull back and just like run away. It's kind of like, I think it could have been done a little bit better. And as a matter of fact, I've stayed away from a lot of Veilguard stuff because I don't want to get spoiled, but I have seen like a combat showcase, and I do have some pretty high hopes. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the combat in that game. It looks pretty decent. Not like amazing, but again, like I think for Dragon Age, at least in this game in Inquisition, the combat side of it was not really the main selling point. I think the story was, and I think the story really nailed its execution. Yeah, I have a lot of high praise for that part of the game. Usually in a normal Dragon Age Inquisition video diary video, at the end I may do a little bit of like theory crafting, a little bit of expectations about where this goes next. I think this is a good point to touch on again, that montage that with the narration from Morgan at the end, where we talk about Empress Selene, Stroud and the Wardens, Liliana and the Chantry, and I want to just remind you guys again. I think we're gonna have to save this sort of like theory crafting stuff for my next video, one that I do with my editor Jen, where she kind of like helps fill me in on maybe some of the lore stuff that I'm kind of still missing, and then we can like spend like an hour or so kind of like talking about where we think things are going to go, because I think right now I have a lot of ideas and I'm really excited to see where like these big plot points, how they develop, but I want to keep this video from being too long, so we're going to leave that for a later thing, but definitely you're going to want to come back for that. I'm really excited, and I think I'm kind of like bursting right now. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just really excited to see. I think this is a really good time to be to become a Dragon Age fan, right? It's been 10 years. I feel like I don't see a lot of the fandom online too much in like my normal gaming circles. And I'm not sure, that's probably because of the age of the game, but I think for me, not really having been familiar with this world before now, it's been a real treat to just immerse myself in this right before the release of the next big part of our, you know, of our journey through this world. I think it's gonna be really fun. I think it's gonna be a really good time, and I can't wait to share it all with you guys. So in the meantime, be safe, have fun, peace. See you guys. Okay, good shit.